Hello and welcome. I'm actually reshooting this one, but today is password day. Basically, it's password reset day. Now, it's kind of something I've just done for I don't know how long, but it's just become habit. So why not just share it with you all? So we're gonna start by explaining exactly what it is. Now, password reset day is more so a day to reset all passwords even if you just reset them, and with obvious issues like you can't do it within a certain time, that part doesn't matter. You reset them, but I suggest you do this. Now, in terms of why you'd want to do it, safety, at the very least, it's just safety. But how you do it, that's kind of what I'd like to show you. So what I have open here is the program I use, the password manager at least, KeePass XC, and that is a personal choice. I definitely suggest it though, just because it's offline, open source, and I definitely suggest it. But I'm going to go ahead and create a new database, essentially just to show you exactly what's going on. So we're just going to, we're going to keep this one, passwords, YouTube, this way, sure. Now, in terms of other password managers, I've used like one or two of them. Proton Pass is actually one I was looking into, but I just like this one so much, I'm not really switching. And yeah, honestly, a lot of them are just the same. It's just like a variance of which ones support 2FA, what kind of 2FA, online versus offline. I prefer offline, but that is definitely something to take into account if you'd like to do this. If you look here, you can see that we have a decryption time. You have your password, okay, basic password, plain text. Say the word password. So you take your password for whatever you're trying to log, that's stack 1. Then you hash it, which is scrambling everything up with an algorithm that you need to, that the service needs to decrypt. But then you also have the third layer, which is salting it, which is also something else that the service will also need to decrypt with a different or similar algorithm. And the whole point of these three things is to make sure that your password is as secure when transferring as possible in terms of how they get from point A, your PC or your input, to point B, the service you are trying to log into. Now, in terms of decryption time, again, hash the time based off of the hashes and the salts. That's what this is basically saying, how advanced, how complicated you want it to do. That's fine. And then we have the algorithm used to encrypt and technically decrypt, but that's whatever. That's a whole different thing as well. AES 256-bit, honestly, that is the same thing as the military grade encryption most services try to sell you on. Whenever right here it's free and you don't have to buy a subscription fee or use your credit card at all for this kind of encryption, because it's actually standard, and it's kind of standard nowadays. The only thing that would be better would be quantum encryption, but we also don't really have that, let alone commercially available. So this will do for now. We also have this other stuff. Honestly, just keep this as default. I'm not even gonna lie. You have this stuff here, but I just wanted to show the 256 because that feels important. I'm going to continue, and then we're going to start by actually entering a password. Now, for the sake of this, I'm just going to make up a password. It doesn't matter. Cool. And then now we are officially in our password manager. Now to start, we're going to go ahead to this plus, select the title, we'll just say Google email, the username that we're logging in with, so we'll just say email at gmail.test, the password, and this is the fun part. We are going to leave this empty actually, and then we also have the URL, which we can paste in. We'll just do gmail.com. I'm just doing that because I don't care. Any tags you want to do for search specifications, we'll just do email. Expirations, because you can have passwords expire. I think that that's what GitHub does. GitHub has personal access tokens that you can actually put in here. That's what I do, at least. And whenever they expire, you can kind of just like delete it or forget it, essentially, and then redo it. So yeah. And then you have a notes field. So if you wanted to do 2FA codes, like the one-time 2FA code, so 2FA1. Oh crap, 1. And then that's essentially done, except you do not have a password. Because right here, if you see, you'll see a little dice, which is a password generator, which honestly is like the best thing from this entire program, having a built-in password generator. And it's like very customizable. That's really what I like. So the password generator obviously has a password. This is generating this as a password, very secure, which is basically just the same as dragging your hand across the keyboard. Also secure if you can, copy it into something. And we're just going to go ahead, we can reset it as many times as we want. The length of characters is 20, because I know that I think Instagram has like a specific length of like under 50 characters. I don't remember, but there's obviously a character length for passwords. So sadly and thankfully, we can adjust the length to be as long as that many characters. I feel like it could be more, but we're just going to keep the standard 20. Oh, it's great, 23. We can adjust the character types, so capital letters, lowercase letters, numbers, special symbols, and we can actually enable them, disable them as we choose. And even the specialty characters, which honestly I don't really use, mostly because symbols are like the character symbols are apparently not even fully acknowledged on some websites, which is again concerning. But letters, numbers, capitalization is kind of good enough. Kind of. The passphrase thing, honestly, I don't really use this that much because I just use this, but you can, of course, have multiple different kinds of passwords. And a passphrase is definitely something I don't use that much, so I'm going to skip over it. But we have this as our password. We're going to apply the password, confirm that this is the account, and then we are done. Now, in order to log in, obviously you'd actually have to have this as an account. This is just an example, but you can see that we have all of our information right here. We have our username, our password, which we can actually look at if we wanted to. It does not expire, and this is the URL to it. The tag is email, and we have our notes here as well. That was a mouthful. But since we have this selected, why don't we log in for the sake of simplicity? So for starters, we're going to copy the username, and we can see that it's going to be cleared from a keyboard within 10 seconds of usage. And then we can go ahead and copy the password, and then it will also be cleared from our keyboard in 10 seconds. And then we can always just go straight to the website by copying it to the URL, where it will then be cleared in 10 seconds, which actually is like the best part of this entire program, if you ask me, because that way I don't have to worry about I forgot what it is, but specifically on mobile devices, because this is in fact a mobile application, you can actually log copy text, I should say, which I think that actually Android and Apple both uses due to the features. I don't know the specificity, but that is in fact something that you can technically get into. But yeah, that's essentially it for password generation and management, which is a lot, but it is definitely helpful to me. Beyond exactly password managers, password generation, the game plan essentially for making sure that I have all these accounts cleared, all of them secure, is to go by a essential tier list, where I start with anything within like specialty stuff like government information, tax forms, medical documentation, first, because that is obviously the thing that you want to be the most secure, following emails, social media, and then of course anything else that you might have or want to use. It kind of depends on you, but at the very least that's my way of doing it. In terms of storing this, I always just put it on a hard drive, or for my personal one I put it on a hard drive. Or if you do have a personal cloud, I suggest you could also, I guess you could also do that if you'd like. Although careful if you have your cloud public, because if you do and someone wants to break in and steal those codes, then technically they can. So careful with that. But yeah, that's basically reset day for me. I've been spending this entire day going through and doing that exact process. So if you, I guess, like to try it, I definitely suggest it. If anything, just start small with the accounts that you already use and log into, and then go from there. But if there are any other accounts that you definitely haven't found, I will put like links in the description for one website, which is Have I Been Pwned, which I definitely use a lot, to check to see if any vulnerabilities have been recent enough to where I think I should just change them immediately just because. And also a link to the tool Sherlock, which I might make a video on. I don't know, it's kind of old, but whatever, where it actually lets you search by username the account service, like that is tied to that username. So if you had a username but you forgot exactly what platform it's on and you have them copied across platforms, then you could just search by username and then get a list of all the usernames that it's actually tied to, which actually is pretty good. Reset your passwords. Please don't keep the same passwords. Please don't repeat passwords, and please don't just make it like a very generic thing like your birthday, your pet's name, or where you lived. I beg of you.